The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the second day of June 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Happy Monday, everybody. How's everybody feeling today? I know I said we wouldn't be here today, but then I changed my mind, and like humans, we are allowed to do that. I'm excited. Another Monday, my favorite day of the traditional work week. It's what happens when you love what you do. Folks, I kind of told you something last month, but today is the first day that the Daily Hour is on hot number 107.5. So if you are entering your car, someone who's driving, you can tell them to turn on hot 107.5 and they can listen to the Daily Hour live right now. We are happy and excited to be teaming up with Inter-Island Communications and the Mr. Blakeney. And just look, man, life's full circle. So it's a full circle moment for us. As you already know, Maya does the news over there. Teo Dill, for years and years and years, led the morning show over on Hot 107.5. We still got Nikita Robinson over there, who we worked alongside, and obviously Glenn Blakeney. So we're excited for this partnership. Excited to work with and to be on radio to ensure that more people have access to the Daily Hour. This is your community conversation. These are your community conversations, and this is your daily talk show. So we're excited. Let us know in the audience. I mean, you'd have to type, but let us know if you hear us on the radio. And we'll do our best to give a little shout here and there. Suzanne Ingham says, super awesome Monday, Jamel and Maya. Thank you for being there. Thank you for changing your mind, Jamel. Well, no, it's funny. Someone wrote to me after you're a tough audience when you're ready. Someone audience member wrote, it's not a holiday on Monday. I'm like, I know. And I said, okay, I guess we got to give the people what they want, right? And luckily, Eron Hill, who's our guest today, so great and graceful in accepting an invite on such a short notice. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome, as just said, Eron Hill on from the Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative. We're going to be talking about their bid to assist, I guess, wrongly imprisoned or accused people. He can better explain that when he comes on, but looking forward to the conversation with Brother Eron. The Daily Play is Bermuda Trivia today, so a Bermuda Trivia question. I'm sure everyone will get that. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Again, we are on Hot 107.5. If you need to jump up, I'm not going to call in names, Headleen, and get to work on time. Yeah, you can just jump in the car and still listen to us and accuse you of something that you probably did do. Sean Smith says, congratulations to you and your team. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Thank you for your support day in and day out. Laverne Tucker says, congratulations and looking forward to positive changes. Yes, maybe I should button my shirt up, folks. I'm looking all shabby this morning. My apologies. I was so excited to come and get on radio that I forgot that, you all can still see me that are watching. But we're excited. We're excited. But let's get into a conversation this morning. We have a lot to discuss, and I want to cover something last week And although we're on the radio, if you want to communicate, you will still have to type to us on whatever platform you choose, be it Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram. All right. But let's jump into it. Last week, I'm going to read from TNN, Trevor Lindsay's TNN, Bermuda News as it happens. The title was Major Shakeup at BTA, Key Departures and Uncertainty at the top. And what is being described as a significant shakeup within one of Bermuda's most high-profile public bodies, the Bermuda Tourism Authority confirmed that Tisha Thompson is no longer with the organization. Her departure comes amid a wave of leadership changes at the BTA. It has been confirmed to TNN News that Jakai Franks, another key figure who has served with the authority for several years, has submitted his resignation and will be leaving the organization in the near future. This is adding to the turbulence, uncertainty surrounding the status of the BTA's chief executive officer, Tracy Berkeley, who remains under investigation, it seems. It is unclear whether the CEO is still under suspension, with no official comment provided regarding the current role or future of the authority. Well, let's get into this. This is a very important conversation that we need to have because, look, I'm pretty sure everyone who's tuned in and engages on this show, every last one of us, pays taxes, right? And our tax-paying dollars go toward things like tourism. So we're going to ask some very simple questions, and hopefully you all are in understanding. You understand what your role in this is. So the question of the morning is, what concerns you most about the state of Bermuda's tourism industry? But also, do you think, because this has been a running argument, right? And I'm going to address something in a second. But do you think Bermuda's tourism marketing organization should return to government? Do you believe that Bermuda Tourism Authority should once again become the Department of Tourism? Do you think that it should once again become the Department of Tourism? Let us know your thoughts. First, what concerns you most about the state of Bermuda's tourism industry? And also, do you think Bermuda's tourism marketing organization should return to government? I'm going to share something with you that I really stands out to me. Really stands out to me. And give me a second to find it. Because I feel like you, the audience, need to hear this. Because sometimes we don't pay attention and this goes over our heads. So I'm going to read to you what I shared with the Daily Hour team on Friday morning. I said, regarding the BTA, the saddest thing about the BTA cleansing is that once again, the white people are going unnoticed in all of this. It's a shame that the wrong black people continue to be given positions, in brackets, not earned, and then fall right into the stereotype of not being good enough for the job. That's why it's so important for the right people over any black face. Meanwhile, as it happens time and time again in professional settings, white leadership always seems to go unscathed. In the case of the BTA, the acting CEO and current VP have seemingly been let off the hook. Did they not know what was going on? In Bermuda, we continue to see white people win while blacks, in brackets, many for good reason, seem to fall on their backsides. We've got to do better and stop with this black faces in high places and start to support the best among us. Look, at the end of the day, when you want what's best, you focus on ensuring that the best, even if it's the best black people, you ensure that the best people get there. The problem with the Bermuda Tourism Authority is it started by appointing the wrong person as chairman. And I'm going to say this, whether you like it or not, Wayne Kane should have never been appointed the chairperson. The premier knew it then, and he knows it now. He should have never been appointed there, right? But I want to address the OBA, and I hope someone lets former, was she a minister or just MP, Leah Scott? Because I'm kind of sick of Leah Scott. I'm sick of Leah Scott. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't go back and forth on social media. I'm not going to type back and forth. I'm going to read and then decide how I want to respond. But I'm really sick of people like Leah Scott, who every opportunity wants to take this dig as if the BTA is bad because of government interference. Lady, there was always government interference. I don't know what other way to say this, but the Bermuda Tourism Authority was never independent of government, no matter how the OBA and their supporters want to shape it. That's problem number one I have with Leah Scott. Problem number two is this white Bermudians are our savior crap. Kevin Dallas, not now or then, was good for Bermuda tourism. Furthermore, Ms. Scott and OBA supporters, if you truly believe what you say, then go and take a dig. And if they're honest, ask them how Kevin Dallas got that position. If you want to have a conversation. See, the problem with you all and me is, Cat Williams said, it's not a black and white thing. He pretty much said it's good and evil. I don't give a crap about your politics either way. It's good and it's bad. Both of you have been bad. And I think we have a big problem in our community thinking that because the other side's done something bad, then we're the good guys. No, not at all. The OBA failed Bermuda tourism. And if you want to keep thinking that the BTA is in this state, and you had Jonathan Smith, the former senator of the PLP, talking about, go back to those numbers from 2019. Thankfully, a smart black person said, you mean those numbers they inflated from cruise arrivals? I'm going to say one thing, and this is no disrespect to Glenn Jones. But Glenn Jones is that guy who can make you believe a pig could fly. Glenn Jones was the spin master for the Bermuda Tourism Authority. He was the communications guy. Of course, they look better in the eyes, and no disrespect to the person who is now, but he was the best at it. So I want people to really understand that as a community, we should be concerned about a number of things. One, how our taxpaying dollars are being spent. Someone hit me up last week saying, man, someone applying for graduate school, I want to apply for the BTA. What's your thoughts? I'm like, why? And they seriously said to me, well, I know how to drink and party. They were serious because that's what young people think they do in tourism. They don't see the work. They don't see it. They just see people drinking and partying on the taxpaying dollars, and then they see some numbers that are given to us, but the community doesn't feel, man. Let's go to the audience. We've got Taj Dunville Utterbridge says the BTA should have always been independent. I think there's a common trend of too much political involvement in many of Bermuda's independent bodies. But the BTA has never been independent. That's the point. No matter how many times the OBA wants to say it over and over and over and make you believe it, it's never been independent. It hasn't. You cannot start an organization say it's going to be independent when the person you appoint as the first chairman is politically tied. And as a politician that the country voted out, didn't win any more of them. And then I encourage the audience to go find out how Kevin Dallas got that job. So don't talk about there's no political interference. You don't want. This is why, truthfully, I got a lot of respect for brothers like Dwayne Robinson and others in the OBA. But when you start saying stuff like that there, man, it becomes political to me because I can't take you seriously. Because either it's willful ignorance or you're just typical lying politicians. Sean Smith says their inability to put heads in beds to capacity. The BTA should go fully private with very little funding from government. That would be my suggestion. But that would be like, I always wanted to see Bermuda go independent, right? But the truth is, the people who can lead us toward independence, they don't want to take us there because the risk that comes with it. The people in the BTA are not going to really truly advocate for full independence because now they're definitely going to be tied to the results. They know they won't get paid if they don't meet a certain threshold, right? So how do we get there? I would love to see it fully independent. I think that's the way to go. But how do we get there? As long as the taxpayers are the main source of revenue, I think that the taxpayers should have a say through government. Unfortunately, they don't. It's the chairman and the board that makes those decisions, right? Amari Simon says, at the very least, BTA shouldn't get bonuses until they're self-funded. Well, I don't know how true this is, but a little birdie told me that they definitely got, some of them even $40,000 worth of bonuses last month or month before. $40,000 in bonus. I mean, you got Bermudians struggle to make $40,000 a year. And for what? But hey, I'm just a grumpy guy on the daily hour. What do I know? Thank you for that, Amari. What else? Do you, audience, yes or no? Do you think Bermuda's Tourism Marketing Organization, do you think the BTA should return under government or independent? What are your thoughts? Do you think it should return under government? What are your thoughts on that? I'm concerned for Bermuda's tourism industry because I think it's easy to say that, okay, tourism's not doing well because the biggest hotel is shut down, like Fairmont Southampton's closed, right? That was always going to impact numbers. But then you have to ask yourself, and it's a numbers game, folks, what are the percentages of the current hotels available? Now, tourism, I'm not defending the BTA, but this is the reality. The BTA doesn't own product, right? They don't own product. They're a marketing organization. When I say they don't own product is if I were working at the Bermuda Tourism Authority and you told me I was in charge of sales, I would feel like a used car salesman who has to lie to get you to spend $10,000 on a car that's worth $3,000. Let me tell you why. Some of the hotels in Bermuda are Courtyard Marriott standard, and that's where I start, folks. I'm not dissing, but that's me. That's me. I asked Maya. I stay at Courtyard Marriott one more time. That's my go-to, Courtyard Marriott. But if I'm staying in a Courtyard Marriott, I want to pay Courtyard Marriott pricing. Bermuda, you're paying Ritz-Carlton pricing in the Courtyard Marriotts. So it would be tough for me to sell this with a straight face and honesty. Right? It's not easy. But again, I don't want people to lose sight of what I said earlier. Because every time something goes wrong in the BTA today, here come the OBA supporters and the former OBA ministers and MPs with the pointing of the fingers. Oh, this is why it should have been no political interference. Shut up. I'm not apologizing for my language this morning because it's annoying and it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. You're playing us for stupid. Stop that. Stop that. It was never fully independent. And the other issue is there is no white savior. Because, you know, I said to, and I don't know if she remembers, and I'll have to send her an email. When former Premier Paula Cox was in power, and people were talking about the finances of the country. And I might have had this chat with Minister Eron Hill before the last election when he and Judge A. Adams walked out of the press conference. And I do find it offensive when specifically white people who don't respect us already act like we don't know how to run, manage money and run organizations. I do take offense to it, right? But I think right now, because the wrong people were appointed to the Bermuda Tourism Authority, that's heightened. And they're acting as if, see, didn't I tell you that these people didn't know how to, really? Oh, let's bring back Kevin. Really? Folks, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. We've got to bring Maya Palacio in for Daily Hour News Break. Again, if this is you've just tuned in, we are live on Hot 107.5 as of this morning. Big up to Glenn Blakeney and the crew over at Hot number 107.5. And audience, let us know if you've tuned in and you can hear us on the station. Obviously, you have to still right here. B. Denise Hollis says, I have a question. Who will pay them and hold them accountable if they were independent? They would have to pay themselves. It would be on them, right? So they would have to generate the income. They would have to negotiate a deal with government to get certain taxes or hotel taxes. That would be on them, right? And who would hold them accountable? They would have an official board of directors that oversees them, right? So like an actual company. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, it sounds like we need to tear the BTA down and make sure that it is fully independent with no political involvement. Either that or take it back into government. But tear it down, blow it up, bro. Taj Thornville Otterbridge says the BTA probably needs to be closed completely as its foundation is clearly flawed. The government should start from scratch to help build an industry led and funded authority. I concur. All right, folks, let's give thanks to Titan Express and Secure Trucking. Thanks so much for underwriting these discussions. Every morning we do them, and we'll bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break after that. Before bringing in our guest of the day, we've got Eron Hill coming up.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. We're going to play a little music. And Shay says, yes, hear you on Hot. Thought I was micing. All right, we are live on Hot 107.5. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break, see what she's got for us on this Monday morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. How you doing?
You know, it's feeling pretty good this Monday morning. Can't really complain. How about you?
That doesn't look like Bermuda flowers. You're not outside today, huh?
I'm not outside. I'm no longer back in Bermuda.
I made you tell all your business. Look at that. MP, I gotta ask you this. I'm being serious. I'm not trying to make fun of you. Have you recovered from Bermuda Day? Like, are your legs still hurting?
I'm not trying to be chauvinistic, but like I'm fine. I never really was hurting after Bermuda Day. Like I said, physically, no issue. It was mentally, I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
So
yeah.
Basically, like the little children who are tuned in, they're gonna think after I say this, like, oh, I want a Maya doll for Christmas. Because I'm like, wow, she did the end-to-end and the Bermuda Day marathon. Yeah. And I watched her. Yeah, I watched her online.
No, I feel very rooted and very accomplished. And I came back, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I did that. I did end-to-end and I did Bermuda Day. Well done to me. I plan to do it all the time, like a lot more now, but like I feel good that I accomplished it.
You just said you plan to do it more?
Yeah, like I want to do Bermuda Day every single year for the rest of my life. Like that's something that I'm aiming for.
You know what? You can tell she's still in her 20s because you got those people who say, look, I just want to do this bucket list, that one and done thing. And you talk about, get out of my face, man. What you got? What's wrong with her?
I'm so serious. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. And don't forget, summertime's here. You know, the sun's going to be even hotter. We're going into the months of June. Make sure you go in there and grab your sunblock because they have many options just for you. All right. So starting out on news this morning, you recall last week I brought to you guys a story about how the shadow minister, Ben Smith, talked in the House saying, look, our athletes, a press release saying our athletes should be covered more, government should be doing more in terms of giving them health insurance or something to do with health insurance. And I had spoken to some anonymous athletes, elite athletes who said, look, we're tired of the talk, actually. We know this is an issue. It's been a struggle for years. And the shadow minister isn't really gaining any points with us, telling us 2 + 2 = 4. He should be calling out some private associations, companies, etc., to actually help to make this a reality. So just after hearing that news, just after putting that out to you guys, we got a new update for you and a story about this. So for 3 years, Olympian Janai Parent Chief was competing globally, became an Olympian, medaled at the Commonwealth Games, and pushed limits, all without health insurance. But now, thanks to Genetics, he's finally covered.
Really?
Yep, he's finally covered. So, in particular, again, stating from what Ben Smith said in all his remarks, this has been a big struggle. And Genetics took it on from a conversation. They actually were working toward this for over a year. What they had done was spoken with Apex about some tests that they had first initially come out with. And during that conversation with Apex Physio, it was glaring that not just Janai, but many athletes, all the athletes, don't have health insurance coverage. And to say the least, the CEO, Dr. Krika Bowden, was completely shocked.
And I was so shocked because I would think anyone representing our country would have the bare minimum to make sure that if they get injured, like it's such a, sports is physical, right? Like, so they should have health insurance. And so I couldn't get my head around how this could be true.
Hey, big up to Doc, honestly. And Maya, like I said to you last week when we first talked about it, my own ignorance, I didn't even consider this for amateur sport, let alone our Olympians, right? Like, there are guys who are less committed to amateur sport in Bermuda because they don't have health insurance that's going to cover them, right? Some of them just doing contract work. But for our elite athletes, that's a travesty. And I'm glad that she stood up. But I'm sorry to say this, and this is going to sound like I'm picking on a certain group this morning, but you can't just show up for the community when it seems to benefit you. You feel me? If you really, truly care about people in the community. There's no reason. I'm going to take it back to last summer when I offended some people. But it's like the tag days. They shouldn't be out here doing tag days to support our elite athletes. So, no, props to Dr. Karika Weldon. Thank you.
Well, the need for support is huge. And I actually asked Janai during an interview with him, like, so what did you do? Like, how did you figure this out to keep going and keep pushing for all these goals mentally and physically? How are you able to even achieve that, knowing that there is this big underlying issue that if I twist my ankle wrong, if I jump wrong, if anything goes wrong, I might be coming out of pocket thousands of dollars. And here's what he had to say.
I just don't think about it until, like, okay, if I had an injury pop up, and luckily at Arkansas, shouts to the University of Arkansas, they took care of me because I had a good relationship. So the doctors would give me like half off. You know what I'm saying? So that helped. But for the most part, I just never thought about it and just competed until something happened. And I'm like, dang, okay, let me use this to pay for it.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something right now. And I want the audience to feel me. I need the audience to repeat this. And I need the audience, anyone who works in these organizations, to be loud about this, because this is how community is supposed to work. Community is not supposed to take after companies in the United States where they literally donate to charities for their own tax benefit. So I will challenge CG. I will challenge Argus. I will challenge BFM. I will challenge any company who offers health insurance in Bermuda. Craig Kenner, former OBA leader, said leading up to the 2020 election, the best charity is jobs. If you want to be charitable, why don't you as insurance companies back these athletes without charge? That's community. Trust me, that's the community people want to see. Not giving $10,000 to an organization where the salary is pretty much 90% of it's going to a salary for somebody, and it's making you look good on the front page of the paper. Like such and such gives 10,000 in laptops. Great. But this falls within the remit where you're taking thousands of millions of dollars from the community. I challenge one of them. And audience, if you work at one of these companies, encourage them. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maya.
No, that you lead perfectly into the next segue of this story, which is why aren't they supporting individual athletes? Why aren't larger companies even thinking about it? And truthfully, there is some skepticism, like I mentioned in the last story, one of the athletes said, like, I just don't think they would give to individuals. They prefer to give to an organization or a company. Now, backing one individual could be seen with a little bit of risk, right? Like now you're part of that, but it could also be a lot of positives because you're also a part of it. So it's a double entendre sometimes for different companies when it comes to support. However, Dr. Krika Weldon kind of cuts down that skepticism, relating it to something that is very universal and very much something that we think about and do a lot on this island, because per capita, we actually give to this one specific thing a lot, but I'll let her explain.
In that same vein that companies and corporations put loads of money into scholarships, they should be thinking about our elite athletes. because we're getting even more bang for our buck, because it's putting Bermuda on an international stage that's benefiting us all. So, you know, we know what Flora Duffy has done for Bermuda. No one can, you know, argue that. But why not do it for the next Flora Duffy, right? Why not do it for the next Clarence Hill, right? Why wait till after it's happened? Let's be a bit more proactive and give that support.
You all are too kind. I got a lot of love for Dame Flora Duffy, a lot of time for Dame Flora Duffy. But let's be honest, if we're going to mention her name, she had resources that many of the Black athletes don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to say that, folks. It's okay for us to be honest. But she had the resources that many Black athletes in Bermuda just don't have. But I appreciate what Dr. Weldon's saying, and I agree.
Yeah. Because again, like speaking with Janai, he even says like he's not far off from the talent that at the Olympics were like top 5 finalists. He's like, I know I can be where they're at, but he just doesn't have that system of support that they also do. Like he stays within the top 20 ranks in the world for triple jump. Now, I don't know if you guys understand how impressive that is, but top 20 in the world. Track and field is a very competitive sport. We barely get track and field athletes in the Olympics now for Bermuda. So having Janai even there was monumental for the 2024 year to have a track athlete on that field. So yeah, when it comes to them ranking so high, our athletes, even athletes like Dage Miners, or when I bring you guys Caitlin Barr breaking records as well at, you know, NCAA for herself, or even just at a university, and Bermuda records she recently broke. And then you got Sha'Carri Fame. It's like we have so many athletes who are now phasing out of that university spot that can't stay underneath their parents' insurance for long. And also we've had Olympians who've done historic things who are under their parents' insurance as well, like Couture, Horton, Parent Chief. So we have these athletes putting Bermuda on their back and literally breaking their back for Bermuda with no health insurance.
Yeah. Argus, can you hear me? BFNN, can you hear me? CG, can you hear me? Audience, can they hear you? What else you got, MB?
All right, I'm going to switch it over a little bit to the statistics that were brought out by the police just last week, because they now have that rolling out. Now, just a quick little mention on that, because we know that it's been a very long time since we've seen the stats come out, and they've already talked about how, you know, they're trying to push it closer in days. But curious how, you know, the audience even feel about the wait time for our statistics when it comes to the Bermuda Police Service. So they announced to us that, yes, they've gotten them out, but they wish they had it in a faster pace. Now, the report shows that it was 355 working days from year end to publication. So that's a significant improvement, because in the previous years, they had a goal of 707 working days to actually release like things like the 2016 statistics. So nearly 2 years to get these stats out.
We're having, I think, someone from the police service on tomorrow. And that's one of my questions is, it's 2025, like collecting data. What took so long? Yeah, I have that question, MP. Yeah.
But one thing that is significant that they're bringing into the stats now is the fact that they're putting in whether or not police officers got complaints against them from the public. So that's a new one that will be quite eager to see throughout the years how that one progresses. All right, closing up, mentioning a little bit of sports, just to congratulate our CONCACAF under 15 championships going to be going on in August, and Bermuda team is, you know, drumming up to be announced and going out there from August 2nd to the 10th. So another big thing for our athletes, the footballers, getting that new generation to come up in those ranks. And our weather today is looking like some sunny breaks between a couple of showers and a odd rumble or two. If you listened in as well in the house, they said that this is going to be a quite particularly rough hurricane season for Bermuda. It's going to be above normal periods of what we are normally used to. So make sure you're prepping up and staying informed on that as well, because it's not going to look like a good hurricane season for us. But we got a high of 77 degrees too.
Perfect. I don't have any special day today, but it's like rotisserie chicken day and love my dentist day.
Okay,
dentist. Well, I don't love my dentist, but I definitely go all the time and let them make me leave in pain. Remember last year, I was out because they did that wisdom teeth to me thing. That
Oh, you mean they helped you and benefited your health? Yeah, I remember.
They hurt me, Maya. They hurt me. You know, I couldn't, like, I lost about 15 pounds in a month because I couldn't eat solid food.
Mini.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, you love your dentist?
I have love for them, yes, and my hygienist.
Yeah, I go. They make me go every 6 months. I'm like, can we make this 18 months? I'm getting no.
I feel like back in Bermuda, it felt a lot more regular. I feel like I was at the dentist like at least 6 times a year. It was like dentist, hygienist, dentist, hygienist,
Mm.
dentist. Like and I got a couple of things. I got the back teeth like that got pulled
Mhm.
out and things. Out here, I feel like it's every 4 to 6 months, something like that. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I go, but I don't really like going. They put that thing in your mouth when you got to do the X-rays like once a year and stuff, and all that stuff. And honestly, audience, does anybody really love the dentist? I mean, I think I do with what Maya said. I have love for the dentist. I do, because they help me out. But yeah, it's painful these days, man.
Maybe you need to switch your dentist. No word alive, but it shouldn't be painful.
Last year when I got the wisdom things out was painful.
Sorry you feel that way.
Oh, wow. She doesn't have much sympathy for me. Anyway, you have a wonderful day, MP. We're going to take a quick break. Again, big up to Hot 107.5. We are on the radio this morning. If you have just tuned in, our first morning on the radio. So, Hadley and Swan, people like yourself, I'm calling you out. You don't have to be late for work. You can still listen to us and keep your job, all right? And see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, my Palacio, folks. Don't go anywhere. We've got Eron Hill coming up after this break. Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative. It's a lot going on, so you don't want to miss this. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. In the meantime, whatever platform you're on, if you're watching online, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter X, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Attention home renovators and design lovers, your dream space starts here. The brand new Kohler retail showroom at BAC Group is now open, bringing you up to 35% savings on all Kohler products at U.S. manufacturer suggested retail prices. That means no extra fees, no freight, no wharfage, no duty, no document processing fees, just pure cutting-edge Kohler design at unbeatable value. From sleek kitchen and bathroom faucets, vanities, toilets, to statement sinks, walking tubs, and spa-worthy bathtubs, BAC brings innovation and luxury within reach. Visit the BAC showroom on Mill Creek Road today for style, quality, no surprises. Just color from BAC.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Don't forget, we are tuned in. If you are trying to make it to work on time, you can listen on the radio as well. Hot 107.5. Big up to Inter-Island Communications. Starting today, you can now catch us there. But without further ado, we've got a very special guest for the day. We've got Eron Hill from the Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome. Greetings, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Jamal. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your patience backstage, and just so happens that you are the first guest on radio this morning. So forgot to mention that. So thanks for doing this with us. We definitely appreciate having you. Before we get into the conversation, just tell us, I guess, for folks who may not know who you are, tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so my name is Eron Hill. I am a 29-year-old Bermudian justice advocate. Prior to labeling it a justice advocate, I would have considered myself to be a community activist, a youth activist. I previously ran a youth organization known as Generation Next, which advocated for the rights of young people. I went abroad to school. I studied law, and subsequently, we've now started the Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative.
Alrighty, and so law background basically. What inspired you to establish the Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative? Like, how did your personal experiences shape the mission?
Yeah, so when I was 15 years old, Jamal, I ran away from home. I was placed in the care of Child and Family Services, and I was actually sent abroad to Utah at one of those boarding schools that we so frequently now see in the newspaper. For me, that experience was crucial in my development. I made the most of it, but the experience of getting there, I was 15 years old. I didn't have legal representation by the state. I had to secure that. And so shout out to Miss Elizabeth Christopher and Mr. Saul Dismont, who assisted me during that time. And I just felt that, what, at 15 years old, I could be sent abroad, without ever once having a voice. I never went to court myself. And here I am now subject to a care order. And so that's when I determined that I was going to study law. That motivated me to study law. But I think that my experience shaped kind of, my perspective now that, there are young people that need help. But for the help of, members of the community who supported me throughout my journey, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I consider it a responsibility of some sorts to pay it forward and help others who, I do see myself in a lot of the young men that we assist at BGI. And that's motivated me to start the initiative, but to continue.
Interesting that. And I guess with, you continue to see reports. Trevor has been shared some very transparent stories on TNN recently regarding, just yesterday, a heartbreaking story about a mother whose son is having a tough time mentally. And then last week, going into the young man who keeps running away from the home and the like. And, you sharing your story and being available to be an advocate for people because you can relate to these situations. I think that's admirable, and wish there were more people like this. I want to just change gears real quickly. During the first year, we're just past year 5 of the Daily Hour, but during the first year, we had a lawyer on, and I asked at the time, now keep it in context that most of us only know what we read in the newspaper when it comes to what's actually happening in court. And you're not going to capture everything in a newspaper or on the news that actually takes place in court the entire day. But based on a few cases that I had read about 10 years ago in Bermuda, when the shootings between Parkside and Fort 2, 2009 to 12 were at their height, I questioned the convictions of a few of those cases. And I remember asking a lawyer, and they said on this show, well, most people convicted are actually guilty of the crimes. But the challenge, what about those who weren't? And a former journalist in Bermuda told me that one of the things that they noticed was some of these cases had literally all white juries, and these guys didn't stand a chance, which I found so interesting. Obviously, it's supposed to be a jury of your peers, and Bermuda's so small, so I could only imagine how that happened. But as I read about the Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative, it made me think of the Innocence Project in the United States. And one of your goals is to one of your aims is to free the innocent, right? Prevent wrongful convictions, and assist in reforming the justice systems so that it's fair and compassionate and equitable for all. Can you just elaborate on how the organization works toward these objectives in Bermuda?
Yeah, so for my part, what we've endeavored to do is connect representation. I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
You came back just now. You can start over. Sorry.
Oh, oh, I see. So what we do is endeavor to connect those who need legal representation with that legal representation. What we found is that many can't afford it. So one of our big pillars of our project is access to justice, assisting with bridging the gap to access. It is expensive to be able to secure the services of a lawyer, particularly in Bermuda. We see, a shortage of criminal litigation specialists. And so what we were hoping to do at the outset was connect the defendants with overseas representation. And, through those efforts, we've realized that the statutory regime that we have in Bermuda for legal aid actually doesn't enable the legal aid committee to appoint overseas King's Counsel. And so we're now shifting to kind of find ways in which we can, one, change the law, but two, encourage other young Bermudians who may be interested in law to, take up a career in criminal litigation. And the secondary part of that is also encouraging lawyers who practice in what would be, far more lucrative areas of law to, give back and contribute, because there is a need. We do have a lot of, defendants who, need representation. And I think that it's important for me to pause here and say that, we in Bermuda have some very skilled advocates, the likes of Miss Elizabeth Christopher, Mr. Charles Richardson, Mark Pettingale, who, dedicate their time, Mark Daniels, dedicate their time day in and day out. Criminal litigation is a field where you give a part of yourself. It is very taxing for very little remuneration. And so I commend all of the advocates that we have here in Bermuda. But I think that it is uncontroversial to say that we do have a shortage of criminal litigators here in Bermuda. And so what we're trying to do is kind of raise awareness amongst the community that there is a need for this area to kind of get professionals to take up the mantle, because the individuals that I've mentioned, in 10 years, they may be seeking to retire and the like, and so we've got to fill that void some way. And I think a part of that is actually bringing awareness to what the process of actually being a defendant in criminal proceedings looks like. What is the process that leads someone to becoming a defendant? What is the process of being a defendant? And then what happens afterwards? I think those are important issues that you mentioned at the outset, the story that you had been told about, white Bermudians. What I would say, Jamal, is that there are a lot of white, Black Bermudians from all demographics that actually just don't understand the court process, don't understand the struggles that young men and women face. And so I don't think it's restricted to, a race category. But what I would say is that it is undeniable that the large portion of defendants are young Black men. And so it's about BGI is focused on bringing awareness to the struggles that young Black men face before entering the criminal justice system.
Well, speaking of that, and I'm not sure if you're in a position to speak about an individual, but the one that caught my attention was the case of Julian Washington,
Yep.
whose wrongful conviction was overturned after a decade in prison. I just couldn't imagine. It garnered significant attention, but how did BGI contribute to this outcome, and what does it signify for justice reform in Bermuda?
Well, Julian was represented locally by Mr. Vaughan Keynes of Forensic Legal and overseas by the Death Penalty Project. His barristers were Amanda Cliff Matthews of Doughty Street Chambers and Mr. Ike Part. So he had solid representation. BEGI has kind of come in on the tail end of that litigation and has been assisting Julian with respect to kind of the communication in the last aspects when the DPP was doing that review. And now our work with Julian has been focused on how do we, reintegrate into society after spending a decade in prison. And so I think the public may have seen an article that was published talking about kind of the struggles that he's had. But it's also about bringing kind of, the humanity to the story. The headlines, there's this historic day review, but many people just don't understand what life after suffering a miscarriage of justice is like. And so BGI's role in that story is more towards the reintegration, kind of building, rebuilding his life, helping to connect him with employers, build CVs, find housing, things that we just kind of overlook when you say, well, you're free now.
Mhm. So in the United States, I mean, these cases were happening so much in the most last probably 10, 15 years, where wrongfully convicted people were released and they were basically getting millions of dollars, which really doesn't make up for lost time. But is that part of what Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative is looking to do? Make sure that, they're compensated for their time lost in the community?
Yes, I think it's twofold. BGI has put forward prior to the general election a proposal for the government to implement wrongful compensation legislation. And I'd just like to say thank you to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General, Senator, the Honorable Kim Wilkerson, for the government's commitment to enact that wrongful compensation legislation. And that brings Bermuda in alignment with other jurisdictions that have similar regimes, and so hopeful that we can, not just in respect of Julian himself, but let's have some sort of legislation and a framework for when this happens, because there will be other instances that the public will see in the coming months, where others have been wrongfully convicted. And so we just need to have a regime so that we're not reactive, but we're being proactive. But the secondary limb of it is, speaking with Julian, helping him out, but also kind of paying it forward, use that story to get through to young men who are at risk and say, yes, the system failed him. Yes, the system, wrongfully convicted him. And yes, he spent 10 years incarcerated, but, we can accept that, we've all played some sort of part in putting ourselves in a position. And so, I think Julian has a huge testimony, that he can share with other at-risk youth to ensure that they don't suffer the same grave miscarriage of justice that he did.
Mm. Audience, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to type them. We'll get through as many as possible. I think it would be highly irresponsible of me on this show this morning to speak about justice and not mention or injustice and not mention that 4 men had charges dismissed, pretty much found not guilty last week in a murder trial, and a family is still seeking justice. Does Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative work for that side as well, where there are people who don't get convicted, but yet there's still no justice for a family who's lost someone? I think he's frozen, folks. I think Eron is frozen, folks, but we'll hopefully he gets back with us and he can answer that question. But if you have any questions or comments, feel free. We will get through as many as possible. Again, if you're late for work, you don't have to just put us down. You can just turn the radio on in your car, or go to the app Hot 107.5. You can listen to us on Hot 107.5 as well. But I think Aaron's a bit frozen right now, having some internet challenges, but how about right on that question too, folks? Right on that question. But I think it's important to ask that question. We have a responsibility and a duty to discuss those things because, yes, there are people who have been wrongfully convicted, but there are also people who have lost loved ones and they have not gotten justice for their loved ones. So hopefully, Aaron, we can fix what happened there and get him back on. Let's see. All right, I think we've got him back on. Aaron, you there?
I am.
Okay, perfect. Right before we lost you, I was saying that last week there was a murder trial that ended with 4 people walking free. And I said, would it be irresponsible of me on this show with you here to not ask about, do you work for the other side as well, where there are families who have lost loved ones and yet they've gotten no justice? Is there another part where you work to assist them?
Absolutely. I think that it's important to actually give a definition to what equal justice means. That doesn't just apply for defendants. And I think it's important to state that I consider Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative, entities like the Department of Public Prosecutions, the Bermuda Police Service, to be collaborators in the pursuit of justice. And albeit we play different roles in that regard, I think that we all share a common objective to ensure that justice is not just done, but seen to be done. And I do think that it's important that BEGI expands in respect of, protecting the victims of justice, ensuring that we hold, the DPP, the Bermuda Police Service, responsible for bringing offenders to justice. I don't think that, and it should be made very clear, that the Equal Justice Initiative is not about, getting people off or ensuring that they can escape justice. It is about correcting injustices and miscarriages of justice. But absolutely, to answer your question, we do support the other side of in certain matters, albeit I can't speak to exactly the nature of those things because they will be before the court at this time, but we do assist in that regard.
Alrighty. Media Maya says, I think it's shocking we don't have compensation for those who were locked up wrongfully. It's been years. Absolutely. I mean, that is very bothersome. It should bother everyone, but I'm glad that your organization has been working with the government to address that. Let's go to the audience. We've got a few questions, but you recently had concerns with the Bermuda Police Service social media activity. We had that discussion last week on this show. Why do you find issue with how they're choosing to engage?
Well, let me say this, and I have thought about it prior to coming onto this show, and I think that it's important to understand that there will be differing perspectives on any one item. The Bermuda Police Service have taken I say, a drastically different approach in how they deal with social media. What kind of took me by surprise initially was the timing of when I had seen one particular post about empty cells, and there had just been a double murder, what we classify in Bermuda as a mass shooting in the western end of the island. And I just thought that the timing of it was a bit insensitive. But I should say that I'm not a police officer. Neither am I a marketing specialist, and I don't doubt the good intentions of the Bermuda Police Service in what they are seeking to do by engaging the community. What I would say is that from my part, and I think it's the emphasis being from my part, this is only an opinion that I'm entitled to have, but likewise, the Bermuda Police Service is entitled to say, well, you're wrong, and we've got data that shows that this is effective. But I just thought with the serious role that the BPS plays, that, there's just some things that serious entities don't do. How would you feel, for example, if the bank started, making, lighthearted jokes about properties coming for sale, and then they justified it by saying, well, people aren't paying their mortgages, and we're seeking to incentivize the community to start paying their mortgages. And so what we're going to do is, get online and say, well, 3 people had lost their house. I just, for my part, didn't like the lighthearted nature of, kind of some of the posts. But again, I'm not a police officer. If they say that they're effective in this respect, one thing for sure is that the stats will demonstrate that in due course. So I've expressed that opinion, and I look forward in the next year or two to evaluating how effective it actually was. But I don't intend to be, a bulwark in their way every time that they make a post. It's clearly now a strategy that they've, determined to deploy. I know for my part that Commissioner Simons is a man of integrity, as is the Assistant Deputy Commissioner, Ms. Athwood. And I know that they are keen to ensure, just as I am, just as BGI is, that we have a safer community. And, they are the experts in this field. And so we'll defer to them to deploy whatever strategy. I would simply invite the BPS to consider, the sensitive nature when they are deploying kind of some of the posts.
No, I fair point. And again, when we discussed it last week, I understand both perspectives. I think I take your concerns. For me personally, from a PR perspective, as I said last week, and a couple people have said on the side is, and this is no disrespect, but there are some organizations who could benefit from that kind of PR. I think what you're saying is you're not quite sure that the Bermuda police are the ones who should be doing it. But I appreciate your transparency just now in stating that, we'll see maybe a year or two from now how beneficial it was. Right now, it seems like, look, for me, they're meeting people where they are. They're trying to engage and communicate with people in a way where people are going to not be entertained, but engage with it and share it. And so at the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing. We want a more peaceful society, a community where everyone can live their best life. But I want to switch gears real quickly. Looking ahead, what are your aspirations for Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative, like in the next few years, and how do you plan to further advance justice reform in Bermuda?
Yeah, so this year, actually in the coming months, we are going to be announcing a full board. We're in the process of receiving full charity status. We're operating on a temporary license at present, but we are going to be announcing our full board, and so I'm excited about that. Long term, we are hoping to effectively establish a law firm that we will partner with, and so that law firm will be the conduit to provide free legal services to, the individuals that BGI assist. We are looking to expand outside of just criminal litigation, but to assist single parents. There are mothers, single fathers, single mothers that need assistance with respect to family proceedings involving children. We are going to be expanding into the domestic violence space and assisting with respect to a domestic violence hotline, where we'll be providing kind of free legal services in respect of the domestic violence protection orders and ensuring that those individuals are partnered with licensed counselors to receive treatment. And so, there's some exciting things that we've got coming up. Right now, our focus is our book and laptop drive for the inmates at our Islands Correctional Facility. And so right now we're just borderlining probably 1,000 books. And we've got quite a bit of computers that we'll be donating to the Department of Corrections. And so we're excited for what we have coming up.
One more question. How can we, the community, support you in your efforts, and how can we get in touch with you if we'd like to support?
Yeah, so support, I would encourage anyone who, and people have to date, they've reached out to us at info@BermudaEqualJusticeInitiative.org. Contact us on the Instagram page. We're about to launch our website. And we've had counselors reach out to us. We've had people who are studying criminology, budding law students that say, well, do you do internships? The help is always necessary. We have a social media person who, we've engaged to kind of sort out our social media. So any skills, if you're passionate about justice reform in Bermuda, no matter what it is that you do, you don't have to just be a lawyer. Feel free to reach out to us at info@BermudaEqualJusticeInitiative.org. And certainly we'll see what we can make happen.
Eron, thank you so much. Please don't be a stranger, because I think we have so much more that I'd love to talk to you about. We are out of time, but thank you on short notice for making time for us. All the best with the work that you're doing. Again, personally, just based on what I've read, I felt like this is long overdue for Innocence Project in Bermuda. But for me, it's not even just Innocence Project, it's justice, and justice isn't one-sided, as you mentioned. So appreciate the work you're doing. All the best going forward, and don't be a stranger to the show. Talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
All right, folks. Eron Hill, if you appreciated the conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. If you had tuned in on Hot 1075, make sure you give them a shout. Let them know. Let your people on social media know as well that they can now listen to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show on Hot 1075 mornings. We are live helping you on your way to work. We're going to take our final break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 50 seconds. Not only will we wrap it up, but I have a trivia question. I want to see how many of you read. It's a Bermuda trivia question. Yeah, stick with us. Forget the usual. Ditch the ordinary. Go off-grid, where adventure meets barefoot luxury. Welcome to Off-Grid RV Bermuda, the island's first recreational vehicle retreat where nature meets luxury in a fully solar-powered Airstream RV. Enjoy eco-conscious linens, cozy robes, a stove, and full bath in a mobile home. You'll find peace in every detail of your stay. Now accepting bookings for overnight stays and half-day escapes. We deliver and set up your Airstream at one of our 10 hand-picked island gems or right to your private residence. Whether it's a honeymoon, golf getaway, birthday, or solo recharge, you'll get quality service every time. Book now at offgridrvbermuda.com and discover the sleep, serenity, and scenery you've been craving.
Hey, you all right, boy? I don't know, man. I finished running 20 minutes ago, and I feel like I'm still panting.
Look like you need to recover. Try this here. New drink. Oh, you're like you want to go to the hospital in 2 seconds ago. This will make you fast like Flora.
Tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, we again.
I'm recovered, boy.
Being from this little island, like yourself, we knew you needed access to reliable shipping. We set up mailboxes so you can skip all the long waits or held up in customs excuses.
With mailboxes, that won't happen. Get your packages in under 48 hours using our dashboard.
Plus, if you're a planner or headerer, our weekly consolidation service might be for you. We hold your packages in Delaware and ship them together to save you big time on shipping fees.
And with our warehouse being in Delaware, that means 0% sales tax. Pretty cool, right guys?
Looking for the best care for your pets? Noah's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to Eron Hill for stopping by this morning. Definitely appreciate the conversation with Eron. Again, folks, if you appreciated the conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues, even in your WhatsApp chat groups. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders and People's Pharmacy, and big up to Hot number 107.5 for the partnership from today onward. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, it is Bermuda Trivia today. Very simple question, and I hope you all know the answer to this. Who is the author of Chained on the Rock, known as the first in-depth experience of slavery in Bermuda? I kind of want to give it, it's not Dale Butler. I kind of want to give it to Traveling Trotty, but I kind of want to give it to Renee Simmons. I kind of want to give it to Tracy Postleway. But folks, this ain't football. Why is Hadeline Swan the only one that said a full name? Like, you don't know Mr. Packwood like that. It's Cyril Packwood. It's not Packwood. It could be any Packwood. No, you got it. You know what it is. Cyril Packwood is the author. I'm glad y'all know that. That means we're a reading people. We are a reading people. I appreciate that. Shame, but I have not read the book yet. I know, don't hold it against me. Do not hold it against me, but it's Cyril Packwood. All right, folks, we've got to wrap it up. We've got to get out of here. But thank you all so much, man. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning, rocking with us. I've got to give you some daily inspiration. But before that, I'll wrap it up. I'll say this much. As I stated, I don't defend wrongdoing. If I think something's wrong, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what our relationship is. You could be one of my sisters. If I think it's wrong, I'm not defending you. That's just my mindset. I don't believe in sticking up for people I love just because I love them. If they're wrong, they're wrong. Unfortunately, we don't have a community like that. We have a community that enables and promotes people we like rather than what is right. And so we get the wrong Black people in positions. And when they do they fulfill the stereotype of Black people not knowing how to manage money or run businesses and so on. If you want to see Black people in positions, then we have to choose the best amongst us, not just the ones we like. And it's important for us to see what's happening as well, because I could tell you, with the Bermuda Tourism Authority in particular, Bermuda Tourism, I will not accept that it's failing because of Black people. That's not what happened. I refuse to accept that. But as a community, we need to do better. And I really hope that everyone who tunes into this show regularly holds the ones they love accountable. It starts there. As far as the conversation with Eron Hill, that was my first time having a conversation with Mr. Hill. I've seen him for years, known about him for years, but I really appreciate the conversation. Didn't know what to expect. I appreciated his perspectives. I'm very interested in going more in depth about how they go about choosing cases and individuals to work with. But I said years ago, something about some cases, some people just didn't seem to have been proven guilty to me. I mean, I think the Julian Washington one was one of them. However, there's another side to this. There are families who need justice. I feel for these families. But something that I hope, I say this about most charities in Bermuda. I don't like charity. I think my goal is that we should be focused on eliminating the need for charity. And so I say that with the Bermuda Equal Justice Initiative as well, is we should be working toward eliminating a need for them. It's preventative measures. That's where it needs to start. What is the root that's leading us to a space where we need organizations like this? So props to Eron Hill for what the work he's doing. And let's hope the community responds with support so that we don't have to have organizations like this. Let me give you some daily inspiration before we head out. So we've got, I like this quote. Falling doesn't define us. What defines us is how well we rise after falling. And that is anonymous. But hey, folks, keep rising, keep growing, keep going. All right. Thanks again to Hot 107.5 Inter-Island Communications and the team. We are live on Hot 107.5 from here on. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.